Hi, once again I'm Sydney and I am a servant of the Almighty God. Continuing this series on recognizing God's omnipotence, today I want to continue in how skills and abilities we observe are proof of that intrinsic intelligence that can only be attributed to a creator. The Creator, the Almighty God. So, I've talked about in the past, the corolla spider, the archerfish, but like all these things as that enables science to actually advance, the phenomena is all around us. It's all around us. It just takes, I guess, inspiration for us to recognize it. And in some cases, scientists go out and, have that theory that can be corroborated by others and then becomes established. Well, our society has advanced, our civilization has advanced to the point where we are now embedding intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, into our creations. And based on that, these times enable all of us. So we all can be acolytes of this. We can all go ahead and spread the word that intelligence does not randomly appear. And if it did, you would find that even if it's just inherited, you would find a line that says it's created here, and that intelligence just maybe builds upon itself, I guess, randomly, because in the cases I'll be focusing on, these are in what we look at the lower animals, right? It's like I talk about within us, our immune system, yes. Intrinsic intelligence guides our immune system, our digestive system, things we didn't know about, things we are now discovering, like all of science. Journeys of discovery. The one I want to focus on today in skills and abilities that show intrinsic intelligence, it's homemaking by many of the lower animals. Today, you see again, these are just things in nature, which again is the manifestation of God's omnipotence. We can look out there and we see wasp, and you look at a wasp nest. Nobody teaches a wasp how to build a nest, how to store its young. If you look at it, that is so intricate. Same thing with bees. We see that. No one teaches a bee how to make a nest. That is like us embedding intelligence. This is the intrinsic intelligence embedded by the Creator. Now, some people may say, well, bees, they live in a hive, they live in a large colony, they observe others. Well, let's look at birds. You look at all these birds that build nests. Yes, I know some of them nest on cliffs and on rocks and just in the open and all of that stuff. But look at the intricate nests that birds can build. And even that variety of nest buildings demonstrates that it is not something that is inherited from one bird to the next. Because we see birds that build hanging nests. And if you observe, now that we have cameras and we can record these things, you will see the intricate patterns that obviously is not taught. Because birds don't go around looking at the other birds to get a refresher, or can you remind me how to do it? It's all that intrinsic intelligence that's embedded by the Creator, just as if we embed in the chips that we will place in all our robotics. The cars and drones and eventually ships and planes and everything else. We will embed certain AI. We program them. And that's exactly what we can observe all over nature, embedded by the Creator. That intelligence cannot, because it's too disparate. You have every species, you look at the birds, they build different kinds of nests. You have hanging nests, you look at a hummingbird that just builds, and it's so intricate that they start off with just one piece of material. Could be hair, straw, whatever. And the intricate patterns, every one of them, it's embedded. That's the intrinsic intelligence embedded into them by their creator, our creator, because we see that this cohesiveness across nature. When we look at, from the time something is born, if it dies, everything. We look at the vultures and, the way they have the clean heads and the digestive system, all of this. But as we focus, when you next look at a bird nest, think about we would have trouble building a bird's nest because we have to weave things, and you have round nests, you see nests hanging from trees, you see nests with entrances from the bottom, entrances from the side, all of this, and even the placement, all this. Now we even have, like with the swallows that give us the bird nest soup, where they even use saliva. They even use saliva that has the special qualities that it can adhere to the sides of a cave and all of this. All of these abilities. Now they have been in front of us all this time, but we did not recognize it. Now we must recognize the intelligence, the intrinsic intelligence that must reside into every bird. By the time it's hatched from the egg, that intrinsic intelligence is already there. It's as if but again, our stuff, the stuff that we manufactured, they don't procreate. They rust. They age and rust. But think about the billions of years that the Creator perfected these techniques. I don't know if the knowledge was all there, but we can see a being that has the ability to program into the memory of living things. That's right. Information is stored in memory, just like you can recall things, it's stored in your memory. Again, I said we can't access the memory in any living thing. We just have to make guesses, right? But we know information is stored in memory, and that basic information. Now, again, if we had billions of years and we were able to program living things, yes, we would program to say, no, I don't need to come and manipulate you and all of that stuff. I put into that basic program even things like procreation. We look at all the animals at a certain time. That program kicks and says, time to go. You need to compete to get the strongest, to go on to the next generation. All of that is part of that intrinsic intelligence. Or when you look at, we look out in nature, and specifically in this case, look at birds, look at any animal that creates a nest, a burrow, whatever. You see the intricacies. You look at termites, right? You look at termites, you look at ants. When they build, all that knowledge is not learned. They don't go to school. They don't read. There is no written and no oral tradition of passing on information. That information is embedded by the Creator, so that each one, and even in colonies where you have different classes of insects, right? They have different functions. All of that is embedded. And this is why, I kind of recognize now that, some of the scriptures talk about how He takes care of His creations. And with us, I surmise because we should be the good stewards, we have to learn. So we get nurtured, so it becomes part of our nature, that manifestation of God's omnipotence, it's all by design. And so I would like more and more, and I will be doing my utmost to get this message out there, that intrinsic intelligence is proof of God. Right? That's hashtag IIPOG. It will also be, hashtags for that, because it should be apparent that how we missed it. Well, I mean, that's just the way things go. But as time, things are revealed to us, and the fact that we have risen to the point that we can now embed intelligence, we now start recognizing intelligence. Every creature, every species has a specific program written and embedded in them. And because we can do it in living things, we don't recognize how that, along with DNA, DNA carries on the physical characteristic. It's encoded in there so that the next generation has it. But also the intrinsic intelligence is somewhere embedded in that memory so that the next generation automatically has it. Spiders know how to do it. Birds know how to do it. Every animal that builds a home, termites and ants and all of these things, and even larger animals that build a home, it is embedded, that intelligence to perform and perform flawlessly, that a skill and ability is embedded. The intelligence for that, the knowledge for that is embedded in them by the Creator. We need to recognize this. And again, when we look at nature, this is a global force. It's not about what this prophet or this prophet and all this divisiveness that we see with religions today. It's not to deride, but again, it's to bring them all together, because every one of the prophets talked about the Creator, the Almighty God. And that's what we see now. And this is where it will take, this will be a challenge for science, because science, led us into this. Science, which is truth, led us into recognizing intelligence being stored in memory, and now we can recognize, yes, there is even a better, the best intelligence, because this is flawless. This is not forgotten. No bird forgets how to build a nest. No termite forgets its role. So science has led us there, to the fact that there is a Creator that embeds this intrinsic intelligence into all of these. So at this time, I want to remind you, it's not a coincidence that you ran into this, this little spiel here on recognizing God's omnipotence. It is a series of decisions that you made so that because this is not about me. This is one of the things that's so important. These things, like all discoveries, are for all His creations, so that we can go forward being more enlightened and create a better world. I often debate this with others. It's information, the fact that atrocities being created, now that He has enabled us through silicon and the work of His creations to reveal the secrets of nature, so that we can have chips and we can store information and we can transmit information around the world. All of this. And if you look through the series, you will see by going to the various aspects, it's in order to make us better, because we become more aware, not quite aware enough of His omnipresence, just like we are aware that we are being recorded. And I remind people now that our worst prosecutor would be the information stored in our memories, because our purpose, our intentions, our thoughts, our words, and all our deeds are stored there. They're recorded. So it doesn't need an external camera. If everything is stored in our memory, and if we could recall it, just like you can go back in this video and replay a part of it, our memories are recording every thought, every word, every action. We smell, the taste, all of that is recorded. And so now that we are aware of information being stored in memory, we can recognize the one who can place intrinsic intelligence should also be able to review, which is something, like I said, I always say, if we had that ability, we'd never need a lie detector. We'd simply hook you up and replay your memory. Okay? So again, this is where this is all headed, but it's unifying. This is not about one religion, one race, one portion of the world. This is about the Creator for all that there is. So once again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time, and hopefully we will be reviewing and spreading this word across all that we encounter. So thank you very much, and until next time, may God bless. Thanks again.